And here we are again with another show, and we have another unboxing, something very special, and Robbo's a very lucky boy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional, they're motivated.
With Tech to the VO stars. George Whittam, founder of Source Elements. Robert Marshall, international audio engineer. Darren Robbo Robertson. And global voice. Andrew Peters. Thanks to Tribooth. Austrian Audio. Making passion heard. Source Elements. George the Tech Whittam. And Robbo and AP's international demos. To find out more about us, check theproaudiosuite.com.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
Thanks to the people at Centrance.
What you got, Robbo?
I've got a little black box of magic.
What did you get that I didn't get?
Oh, I
He
didn't
shipped
get one
it all
either.
the way down under before he'd ship it across the country? What the heck?
Very
Why are you
early
special?
Christmas present, and it's very, very cool. Can you
Nice
see the
setup,
black
yeah.
box? It's like a flight recorder. That was my first
Yes, it
impression.
is.
It was like, it's like, whoa, what's this? So
Yeah,
it's very
so it's
cool.
a nice
So-
little kit. So
Yeah,
what's
so
this thing called?
and it's rock solid. It's called the English channel. So
Love it.
it's sort of like it's an audio studio in a box, effectively. So if we crack it open, there's this piece of magic inside, and I'm guessing that we can all see that.
There's 3 separate units is what I'm
there's-
seeing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's 3 of Centrance's units. All well, they're not linked together at the moment because you need to do that with these XLRs and USB connectors at the bottom. But it's very simple.
Gotcha.
Which we'll talk through in a
Gotcha.
minute. But it's so effectively you've got your pre and effects. So in the SoapBox is your gain and your high pass, low pass filter, all that sort of stuff. There's a gate.
So the SoapBox is the preamp?
The SoapBox is your preamp. So so your mic goes
Got it.
into here, and then it daisy chains across the top to the others. So, but in the SoapBox, there's your high and your low pass filters, your 48 and your pad. And then you've got your gain, obviously, and a dry wet mix for your effects, which we'll get to in a sec, including the gate, which is here, and a de-esser, and also the option to select the frequency the de-esser is working on. And you've also, which I think is the bit of magic, you've also got an inbuilt compressor, which obviously is using a preset knee and ratio and all that sort of stuff. But from testing it out with AP the other week when it turned up, it's actually not too bad used in moderation, and also when used in conjunction with the mix knob, so that so wet is full on wet for those who are not sure what a mix knob is. Full on wet is everything working at its capacity. But then when you use the mix knob and you start bringing it back towards dry, that processed effect is being mixed with the original signal coming in from the microphone.
That's
so it's not quite
interesting
so
because
harsh.
that is not a knob that most people are going to have in their signal chain. Like if you
No.
have a single rack piece of gear, let's say it's a channel strip. I'm thinking of a DBX 286. I know he's thinking of that piece of gear a lot when he developed the SoapBox. You can't. The signal goes left to right. It goes preamp, then it goes through each thing in that sequence, and then it comes out the other end.
Yep.
And it's all wet. You can't blend it. So
Yeah, right.
here you have a blend, which gives you an interesting level of creativity in terms of controlling all that stuff.
That's right. So even if you find that you've got to wind up the compression a bit more to get whatever the desired effect is you're looking for, you can still manage that, micromanage that by sort of then playing with your mix to get it just right, which is kind of clever. So I'm really impressed with that. I thought that was
that
nice.
first box of SoapBox has a preamp.
Yep, has your preamp,
It has a high pass filter.
high pass and low pass. Actually,
High
no,
pass
just high
and low
pass,
pass.
just
Okay.
a high pass, and then something
And then
called
it's
high
got
Z.
high Z would be for a guitar
Yeah,
because it's got a high Z combo.
that's right.
jack.
Well, that's the other thing actually. Yeah, you can use this as a DI, but we'll get to that, I guess. So there's your high
And then
Z.
it's got 2 meters. Is one an input meter and one an output meter? Or
Yeah,
is
so
one
one's an
how
input
do
meter
meters
and
work?
one's an out, but it's also it's also showing you, so you can see your compression working basically. You can sort of see what's coming in and what's going out on when you're dialing in your compressor, which is kind of nice.
Got it. And what are the 3 little lights across the top? Looks like there's 3 LEDs.
So that's just showing you
across.
when your gate's working, when your gate's kicking in and out. Then
Is
your
there a
compressor,
dial on
your
the very
compressor and your
top near
de-esser
the
working.
XLR male output? Is that right? Is there a dial on the back?
There's a switch there. There's your on-off switch. I'm back here. Yep. So that's just your brightness of those lights back there that you can see up the top
okay.
there. So you can sort of make those a bit brighter or a bit duller. Which is kinda
that's
nice.
cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's very cool. So then you using the XLRs, we then daisy chain from the SoapBox into the BlackCab, which is his EQ.
Does it come with cute little XLR?
It
tail
does actually.
jumpers
I
in the
can.
box?
In fact, we should have gone through that first. In here, he's thought of everything. Can I just say he's really switched on with this. You've got your little short XLRs in here, which is very cool. So they sort of, if we were putting this together, we would be sort of daisy chaining from there to there, like that, which is kind of cool. And then from there to the PortCaster. So you've got 2 of those all packed away and in nice little padded pouches too, can I just say? And then in the other one, which is also very nice, we have the USB-C connectors because the power also daisy chains. So the power comes into the SoapBox, and then using these USBs, you can daisy chain to each of the other boxes. And he also gives you 2 USB-Cs for the power in, and also one to go back to your computer interface, whatever it is you're using as well.
Okay, so each one of these units needs power, and they each have a USB input for power.
Yep.
But you don't need to have 3 power supplies then?
No, so you just use the shorter USB-Cs that he's provided, like those XLRs, and just daisy chain through each one. He's
Cool.
also given the long ones as well. But the nice thing that I think is really clever is he's if you haven't got USB-C, he's also included the adapters for normal USB, which is sort of nice.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
so he's
that's
thought of
nice.
everything.
Not everybody does that.
No.
I've gotten product where I actually opened up a Sound Devices Mix Pre 3 for a client a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap unit, $600-700 unit.
Yeah.
And there was no adapter.
Yeah.
And I was dead in the water until I went and got the right
And isn't that
cable
the frustrating
adapter,
part?
so-
You get this cool piece of equipment like this land on your desk,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh shit! I've got to wait till I can get to."
It costs,
here
and
it's
it costs
J-Car
so
or
little
whatever.
for a manufacturer to throw those adapters or
Yeah.
give you that extra thing. And it's like, it's nice. I'm really glad he thinks of that.
Yeah, I was really impressed. So so we go into the BlackCab is the next little box, and you've got high, mids, and lows.
So it's a 3-band sweepable.
3 bands,
kind of
bands
EQ.
sweepable. They actually sound quite nice. And then again up the top you've got your high pass air, which is I would presume extra high, and you've got a pad and you've got a bypass as well. So if you don't want to put your EQ in there, listen up, voiceover artists. You can bypass that. So that's
Is there a
kinda nice.
hard bypass
Yeah, that's his
button
switch.
or switch?
Yeah, it's a switch. So, and that's the other thing that he included in here, which I have to say, these switches are all sort of recessed into the top, but he includes one of those, the little metal
SIM
things you
card
use, the
tool.
SIM card tool. Yeah. He includes
Yeah.
one of those, so you can get in there and you don't have to use your pen or whatever else. You can get in there with that and switch them
Yeah.
on and off as well. So, Michael,
So
must
if you
spend
do want to
days.
bypass it on the fly, it's not something where it's just a button. You do have to kind of, you got to use the little pick to
You do.
switch that.
Yeah, you do, or a toothpick, or a pen, or whatever you,
Right.
a paper clip, whatever you can get your hands on. But
Yeah. Okay.
but yeah, so that's kind of nice. So I think the only thing that I missed on here was a sort of a low shelf and a high shelf for me. I mean, these are all your sort of curves as opposed to an actual shelf.
They're all bells.
Yeah, but
They're
again,
all bell.
yeah,
EQs,
bell shaped.
There's
Yeah,
no
that's
shelving.
right. Yeah, I said curve, but you get my point. Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, I guess realistically, if you were doing voice, if you were doing a voice, you probably wouldn't be using the EQ section anyway. Well, I hope you wouldn't be. So you probably.
Well, the other thing is, I don't think it's not targeted for someone like me. I that's overkill, and stuff on there I would never use.
Yeah, true.
Where I would see it being useful if somebody had it would be for making a small correction.
Yeah.
So if you don't have quite the right mic, there's a lot of people that have a Neumann TLM-103 that shouldn't have one. And that mic is very upper. It's got a big upper shelf on it. I mean, it has quite a bit of a sibilance peak. And there's a lot of women who are being told to use that mic for some reason, or their friends have one and they go buy that mic and it's just really sibilant. So to be able to go in there and then smooth out that shelf with an EQ and just leave it, set it and forget it, would be pretty sweet. That's where I could see the EQ coming into play. Or if you have if you're in a small booth and the low end is not quite well controlled, you haven't done a good job of EQing the room, or you did your best and it's still boomy, having a little way to sculpt the low end would be helpful.
There you go, PC. I told you when we were testing this out. I told you George would know.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
So the SoapBox, what's the
BlackCab,
the middle one?
Yep, the BlackCab.
The BlackCab, and then it goes into the PortCaster.
Now this is for the content creators out there, this is the really sexy and useful part of this thing is you obviously have your mic that you've plugged in down onto the SoapBox. You have that come in here. And that's been through your processing chain, but in sort of shades of the Passport VO, you can also plug in your phone to here.
Yes,
and
I happen to have a PortCaster Pro, by the way, and I love it.
Yeah, well, and it takes care of your mix minus,
but when I do, it is awesome.
Yeah.
Because of that phone patch functionality. Yeah. The onboard recording. I mean, I'm using it as a field recorder for doing field reporting, doing video interviews where I want to capture the audio in super high quality.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also used it in the video we did a while ago where we were at the, actually, I don't think we did it for our show, but I did some videos recently that I posted at vocalbooth.com where I was inside the vocal booth.
Yeah.
And in the video, if you happen to see it, you'll see me holding something in my hand, and that's the PortCaster.
Yeah, right.
Well,
I saw it. I saw that
to get
video.
A super high quality recording right off of the microphones we were using in the booth.
Nice.
So, that's PortCaster.
And when we see the rest of it, the question would be, why wouldn't you? Because you also got another mic input that can come into there. You've got a mono stereo blend. Now, I didn't play with this, George, so maybe you can give me a bit more, you could be a bit clearer about my understanding, and maybe I've got it wrong. But if you have two mics, does the mono stereo split them? Is that what I'm doing? If it's in mono, I'm hearing them both in both ears. But if I wind up the stereo, is it putting one in one ear and one in the other? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, it's an interesting design choice. I mean, that Michael did it because, when it's in mono, it's just a mono mix of left and right. Everything comes down the middle. Mm-hmm. As you turn towards stereo, it now starts to separate them into a stereo channel.
So it's like a pan.
And that's kind of unusual. Usually you either have mono or you have stereo. And here you have a knob. So you have anywhere from mono to stereo.
Does that affect what's going out? Does that affect my output from here? Or is it only what I'm listening to?
So that affects what goes to the line output.
Yeah.
So if you're plugging into a phone or a camera.
Yeah.
And I believe it also affects what goes to the USB output that goes to the computer.
Yeah. Because if you were doing a live...
I think it affects all three, the recording, the line out, and the USB.
Because if you were doing a live broadcast or something with this thing, that would make sense because, me being me, I like to pan our show. So that everybody's got their own little space. You could do, if you were doing a live broadcast, you could do that with here as well, I guess.
Mm.
So.
Yeah, or if you just want to have full separation of your two mic channels, full left, pan right, full left and right, pan, you just turn that all the way to the right.
Yeah.
And now your mic 2 is on channel 2.
There you
mic
go.
1's
And you've
on
got your
channel 1.
separation if you want to do it in post later on or whatever.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And I like that because like the really basic interfaces like the Scarletts and SSL2s and the like, there is no option. You know, it's channel 1 is track 1 left, channel 2 is track 2 right, period.
Yeah.
So now you get a mixer where you can actually blend them and set them the way you want.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's nice. That's good.
Your auxiliaries, there's 2 of. So you've got your mix of those down here. And then obviously volume, which is your monitoring. And what I missed up the top, which is also kind of nice, is you've got a limiter on both the XLR inputs. Or actually, I also think you can also put that limiter across your phone by the looks of it as well, which is kind of clever.
That's a darn good question. I don't know if the limiter circuit includes the phone patch function, or if it's only for the preamp. I never looked at I never saw the diagram. And I haven't tested it. I have used all those functions, but I didn't notice whether
I'm presuming that it might
affects the phone
because it's on the same sort of eyesight level as that switch between the microphone and the phone. So it might not. I guess.
Yeah, we'd have to look at a signal flow diagram. When we designed the Passport VO, that was a huge part of our time was spent scrutinizing, tweaking, and adjusting the signal flow diagram to figure out where the switch is, where the knob is, where is each single piece in the signal flow as it goes through.
Yeah.
And I'll take my opportunity to use this product here to promote our product. The reason we created Passport VO was because as feature rich as what this thing is that Robbo's holding here, because this does things ours isn't going to do, obviously. 3 fully sweepable EQ bands, De-Esser, things like that. But the reason we made the Passport was there are really nuanced, interesting things we wanted to do with the signal path.
That's right.
We wanted to be able to have a separate return from the computer and have that be recordable or send that back to the headphones or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that was a huge part of the design. So yeah, it would be interesting to see. I'm sure Michael will say, "Oh no, of course I did it this way because this makes the most sense."
That's right.
He would
given the
his
attention to
way of doing it.
detail with everything else that's in this packet, it wouldn't surprise me that the limiter was across both of those. So yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So then the rest of the power of this beast is on the bottom down here, for me, which is, and again, you'll probably expand more on what I've been able to play with in the short amount of time I've had it. But we have, you have an inbuilt card recorder.
Right.
So the micro SD, so you can record, you can play back off that. And I presume that only plays back to your headphones and not out the USB, would be my guess.
That does sound correct to me. There are things I use my unit for that I've done with it, and I've never tried playing and then recording USB and seeing if it comes out. I don't think that it does that.
It would be very cool if it did. It would be very cool. I'd be well chuffed with Michael if he'd thought of that, but yeah, maybe not. So then you've got the power daisy chain over that side, and then the USB on the other side is your output back to your computer. 48 volt, obviously, monitoring in stereo or mono, and a high and low output selector. What am I thinking of, George? What's the word?
Oh yeah, that's the line. So that's the line output pad switch.
Yep.
So if you're plugging this into a line level signal recorder, let's say you plug it into, I don't know, some cameras and some devices can take a line level.
Yep.
Other cameras can only take mic level.
Yep.
So having that switch means that if you plug this into your Handycam, your DSLR, whatever your camera is, as long as you have it on low, you won't clip the input of the camera and distort the hell out of the audio.
Yeah, right.
How many times have you seen like some low budget video production on TV where the audio is completely overmodulated?
Yes.
It's just totally
Absolutely.
because they're shoving a mixer signal into their camera input, which is a mic input.
Yeah, exactly.
It's designed to take it's designed to take this mic, plug that with an adapter into an 1/8" jack and plug it into the camera. That's what it's for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this can output either level without clipping. So that's nice.
So who do you think this is targeting, Robbo?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Who do I think it's targeting? I think definitely sort of content creators at home who maybe don't want to invest in a DAW or an expensive DAW or plugins or whatever, who just want to be able to record and edit and spit it out. So it gives them the flexibility to add some of those features that are in here, the compression and the gating and all that sort of stuff. The thing that occurred to me after 35 years in radio is that outside broadcasting for radio, this thing would be perfect because you can plug your announcer mic in. You've got a guest mic should you need it, and you can use you could use the phone return, or you could use the auxiliary input to monitor what's happening in the studio. So you can hear your music, you can hear the commercials, you can hear the callers coming in. But you could be sitting outside your local...
can be the return from the studio.
Yeah,
exactly.
You could be sitting outside your local store who's having a promotion that day doing your radio broadcast with basically just this and a laptop with a Source Connect connection. Hello.
Yeah, that to me is that to me is the killer app for this thing, is using it for field broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be awesome for field broadcast.
Absolutely.
I also see it being accompanying a musician when they're traveling, or going to do they might want to run their guitar rig through this, or they might want to run, they might want to capture their stage stage kit, or they might want to use it in the room, their hotel room, to do jamming or practicing or laying down tracks, or there's a lot of interesting ways to use it. I certainly don't see the typical voice actor using a full-blown channel strip or an EQ like that.
Probably a bit
not
much.
Typically.
Yeah, I would agree.
If you happen to be a producer or engineer and you know how to fine-tune that stuff, then maybe. Or if you got one and you had me or Robert or Robbo tuning it for you, like, all right, let's add a little bit more of the low mid, EQ. Which I do that occasionally. I talk people through on Zoom or whatever, and I explain how to adjust everything. Yep. Source Connect is really the best because you can hear the absolute detail, and then I can have somebody adjust the knobs on their unit. That's where this thing could be really killer.
It really is it's a 2-channel. Well, it's actually more than that. It's a 3-4 channel console in a box, really. Because you've got your mic input, and then you've got your couple of other line inputs and all that sort of stuff that you can play around with as well. And it's basically a tiny console in a box, really. I
meant to ask you, I know the PortCaster is USB power or battery power. Yep. The other 2 units require power, correct?
Yeah, they both require power, which comes from that daisy chaining sort of thing.
Right.
And then the other cool thing, just as an aside, and I guess. If you, for whatever reason, like let's say I was going to record somewhere and all I needed was the PortCaster, when you flip these things over, you can unscrew them, and you don't need a screwdriver or anything. You can unscrew them and you can just take the one you need.
Bolted to the tray,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. So you can just, okay, I need the PortCaster, but I don't need anything else. So I'm just going to take that, throw that in my bag with a microphone, and I'm off, and my phone or whatever. Cool. So he's thought of everything. I'm so impressed. It's very, very cool, and very, very clever.
And what's the build quality?
It's really heavy. It's chunky. It's sturdy. These are all metal, the cases, by the feel of them.
How do the pot knobs feel? Do they have a nice?
And they're not. They're really comfortable to use, and they're really they're not stiff, but they're not so loose that you could just bump them. Which is kind of nice, given that you'll be sort of moving it around a bit, I would imagine, and all that sort of stuff. You can sort of almost set and forget. Like you could do your setting before you left home. You might have to tweak it a little bit when you get somewhere, but I would imagine if you put it in the case and close the lid, you could arrive where you wanted to get to, and it would still be set to where you were without having been
Is
bumped.
this your first time hands-on with Centrance equipment?
Yeah, I'd never heard of Centrance until we started talking to them about the passport.
Well, I mean, I take it for granted because I've been dealing with or using Centrance gear since 2009.
Yeah, right. Well, there you
go.
So
I'm really accustomed to the build quality and what they are. So it's cool that you're finally getting your hands on one, because you're basically feeling, by holding the PortCaster, you're going to feel exactly what the Passport's going to feel like.
Man, I'll be
It's
sharing the
gonna be the
love
same
down
kind of
here.
build
I'll be
quality.
honest with you. This thing's incredible.
That's
and just
great.
to finish off what else is in the bag, which is sort of just, again, goes to show how much thought's gone into this.
Thinking of everything, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he sent this, now it's US and he can't cover all countries, but there's your little plug, which you can see, it's a US plug, but it's got your 2 USB connections for your power if you need that.
But that's just a standard power supply for USB, right?
That's right, exactly. So
Like if you've got a power adapter,
yeah,
you know, a local power adapter, an Australian.
yeah, of course, and he can't
Let me
do
ask
one
you,
for
the
every
power
country. That would
plugs
be
in
ridiculous.
Australia, are they unique to Australia, or are they in common with parts of Asia? Or
Yeah, no, they're pretty much unique to here. So we've got 3-pin plugs.
Oh,
We've got an
interesting.
earth as well. So yeah,
everything
which
has
some
an
countries
earth
have.
ground, right?
Yeah.
Without exception.
Yeah, but we've got the positive, negative earth. We've got 3 pins.
Yeah, it's crazy. In the
Some
US,
don't,
you
though.
can still
Like-
buy. Well, okay, yeah, I was
Oh,
going
yeah,
to say in
well,
the
that's
US
not
you can
earth.
still buy lots of things without the earth ground.
Yeah, well, this USB charger for Mac. That
Yeah,
hasn't
that's
got an earth.
extremely similar to a
Yeah.
US one. It's just that the 2 pins are on slants.
Yeah.
The US is just parallel. It's
Yeah, yeah.
almost the same.
Yeah.
But normally I plug, and I won't unplug anything because I'll probably turn something
Don't
off.
do
but,
that.
it'd be like,
That would be a bad time. Don't unplug stuff while you're on the doing it.
That's right. But
So,
yeah.
and then, I mean, these are the bits that we always joke about that you'll never read. But everything's, and I wanted to point this out only
There's
because
manuals for all of them.
only because it sort of dumbs it. It's not dumbing it down, but it's so well explained that anybody who sort of has a general understanding of audio will be able to still sort of pick these things up and go, okay, I know what I need to do. They're clearly laid out. Everything's marked. Everything's labeled nicely.
Yeah, it's analog gear.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a USB, but it's analog. So each knob has a job.
Yep.
It's labeled what the knob does. So how much manual do you need when it's that straightforward?
Well, that's right.
Versus something where it's like 15 layers of menus.
Yeah.
Like I was setting up that Mix Pre 3 for my client. I was like, oh my God, I need to open the manual, dude. I can't figure this thing out to save my life.
Yeah.
Like I had to watch YouTube videos and to get to even to pass a signal to the Mac through the USB port, you know, it was not intuitive whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, because it's all hidden inside the screen on that machine is like the size of a post, you know, like the size of
Stamp.
I don't know, bigger than a postage stamp, but it's like this big, you know, and so you're like touching the little. So having everything a knob and a switch for one job, man, that's the dream. That's why I'm so excited about the Passport.
Yeah.
It's so
Well,
straightforward.
that's it. It's
no
just
more
simple.
firmware, annoying stuff.
No more.
So we must
rubbish
be getting
going on.
close, actually. How close are we to the Passport VO?
Well, Michael has been giving us updates from time to time. You know, I get emails. I don't know if you guys get emails, but I certainly get emails once or so, maybe a week, from somebody who's getting curious. You know, what's going on. There's still a projection of like early spring, late winter, early spring. So March, April. You know, it's such a moving target that it just doesn't feel right to quote any dates and times.
No,
Because
true.
as soon as you do, it's the Elon Musk syndrome, you know?
Yeah.
Everything is like, it's coming, right? And you're like, hey, we've been waiting 6 years for this whole full driving car thing, and it ain't here yet.
And we're gonna tell our advertisers to fuck off. Is that what we're gonna do?
That's
Right.
right. Yeah.
I watched that whole interview. That was very interesting, actually.
It was, isn't it? It's a bit of an eye-opener.
So I'm always like of the under promise over deliver thing, but at the end of the day, it's going to come out when it's ready, and people don't like to hear that because they've, you know, we've had 87, 88 of you have invested in that unit now at this point.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people, you know, obviously vested in this.
It'll be worth the wait,
but
though. It'll be worth
it's
the wait.
worth the wait, and it is definitely coming. It's just we don't, until we have had one in our hands to actually test a prototype, we won't be able to give you any definitive yes when it's coming.
Yeah.
And it's funny, if you look on the buy page on the actual store at Centrance.com, we have a 4.8 star review.
Oh, nice.
We have 6 reviews. 6 people are so excited.
Haven't even had
they've
this thing
already
yet.
given it a review on the website.
Before they even got it, yeah.
There you go.
Trust us, folks. It doesn't exist quite yet, but there are still some, believe it or not, available. There's 12 at the There's 12 of the initial batch still available.
Yeah.
To buy. So when they do ship,
You get it,
yeah,
baby.
you'll be able to get on that first batch. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. We're all excited, and trust us. As soon as we have our unit in hand, just like Robbo does, we'll definitely be sharing it with you guys.
Indeed, indeed. Now, we haven't made any reference to the fact you're wearing a Santa hat, George.
Why would I be wearing a Santa hat anyway?
He's having a home.
Classic.
I put it
ho-ho.
on earlier. I did a video, and I thought, I'll just leave it on.
Why
You
not?
can't tell because it's too bright, but the lights are twinkling.
There you go.
Yeah, I know, I
We
saw
got a
that.
4-star
You're a
rating, and you got a
4
4-star Santa cap.
I was going to say, yeah.
And if you're really good, I'll give you a 5-star.
Yeah, there you go. Hey.
That's funny. That's funny. We had a 5-star general, now we've got a 5-star Santa. You may have noticed one thing that I obviously have been feeling a bit jealous about Robbo's hair, so Robbo.
Look, I even had a haircut yesterday. Look at that. Yeah,
Mine is
well
longer than ever. I've been really let this thing go crazy. I'm
Yeah.
seeing how long I can tolerate it. If I can make
Yeah.
it through the end of the year.
So listen,
make
guys,
it.
just before we wrap this thing up, just to bring this all together, I don't know whether I've told you guys, but we've got Michael from Centrance coming on to do a video episode with us in a couple of weeks to walk me through that. We're going to plug it in and have a play with it. So
Well, that's
with Michael on
very
board.
good.
So that should be a bit of an in-depth
He actually knows
dive.
what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, he might even make you look silly for once, George. I try, but I can never succeed. Maybe Michael will.
That would be cool. I'm looking
Good luck
forward
with
to
that one. I'd say.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to Tribooth and Austrian Audio. Recorded using Source Connect. Edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Voodoo Radio Imaging with tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, theproaudiosuite.com.